Quarter Life Critics.
What's
the
up?
only show, the only online media source where we review the best TV and film the world has to offer. And today is March 13th, and I'm sitting here with my two best friends, Patrick
Yo.
and Grant.
Hey.
And as you guys know, on this lovely syndicated series, every episode we have a director to guide us through a riveting, breathtaking,
Mouth-watering.
jubilant, mouth-watering, voracious dive
Sexy.
into a piece of art. And I use that word very seriously. Art for this episode. So the director, does anyone remember who the director was?
No,
It's not me.
I don't know.
It's not you, Pat. It's none other than Mr. Grant Farmer.
Hey.
Take it away, brother.
Hey, guys. Thank you for joining us. This week, we watched a French film, L'Argent, directed by Robert Bresson. And Pat's going to take us through with a brief synopsis of the film.
I'm going to briefly synopsize. This movie takes us, it starts with a couple young boys from prep school, and they deliver a counterfeit bill to a photography shop in Paris, knowingly. There are some young hustlers, whatever, they're not important. But this gets in the way as our hardworking fuel delivery man, Yvon Target, he's given that money by the shop employees, unbeknownst to him. He uses it, the bills, later that day to pay for his lunch at a cafe, and it doesn't go well for him. He almost gets arrested, and he loses his job. This starts a downward trajectory, and he begins, making some poor decisions after the, loss of his job. He takes a new job with a criminal element, for a little bit of bank robbery, but his life continues to spiral into depths of violence and despair.
Dang. Now, what is the name of this film? I missed it.
L'Argent.
L'Argent?
L'Argent.
Or his
El
name's
Argent?
L'Argent.
L'Argent,
As the
which
Englishmen would
means-
say?
Which means money in French. And so, this film, it's kind of like a butterfly effect film, right? Where you got this kind of innocent, kids. They start innocent where they're just, it's kind of like rich private school kids, it seems like, asking money from their dads. And, they want more. One of the kids wants more money.
He's in debt. He needs money.
He's in debt. He needs money. And that's true. Yeah, it starts with the debt. And, his friend has money to lend him, and he knows it's a counterfeit, and they just have to push it off, and they push it off, and it's at this point it's just kind of kids doing kids stuff. Like, I don't think there's a lot to blame for some kids. They're kids. There's
Reckless
not a lot of
teenagers.
morals. Yeah, like their moral compasses are not fully maybe formed yet. And quickly, the shop owner, once he realizes that he has, 1,500 francs, I don't know how much money that is, but I think it's the largest denomination of bills, so maybe $300, something like that in the 80s.
A 500 note?
Yeah.
I guess that'd be $569 in today's currency. No, that's a Swiss franc. I need a French franc.
French franc.
French.
1 USD was about 6 francs in 1980.
Yeah, so about $100. A little less.
Mm-hmm.
Why does mine say 500 francs is $2? I don't know. I
Well, it seemed like it was the largest denomination.
500,
bill, so
yes.
yeah. So I'd assume it's like close to our largest denomination, which is $100. And so he got scammed. I guess it was like within a week. This is a problem, and So he kind of got this store owner. He had a bunch of counterfeits bills, and I think there would be some system in play where maybe you call the cops, and let them know what happened or something like that. But he wanted to pass them off to someone and get them off of his hands. And so he does that. And Yvonne is our victim here because he had a contract. Yeah, he was a fuel delivery man. He was gas, I'm assuming, or
Oil.
I believe it's petrol.
petrol, which is not oil.
Related to oil.
Cousin.
He's a cousin of the oil family. And it's important because a lot of oil was controlling the world.
So
I've heard it as Black L'argent.
Black L'argent.
Is petrol.
Louis. I think that's how you say oil. It's like
Ew.
but yeah, so and this is the first time where the guy is actually he's intentionally being malicious, right? Like he knows what he's doing is wrong. He has a moral compass and he's trying to pass this off. And then it gets really tricky when the guy Yvonne gets caught with this counterfeit money and they blame it on him. And now the store owner who passed it off to him is lying, and then they commit perjury in court and fuck over Yvonne. So that's where that to me is where the sin kind of starts to happen, at that point. Before, it was kind of innocent with the kids, even passing them off. It's like a little blurry, but then once you're going to court and lying and fucking over this dude, luckily Yvonne didn't go to prison then, but it just spirals down. It's butterfly effect.
Luckily, yeah. I mean,
and I don't know. One of the first things about this film that I think is you notice is the actors are very flat, and that's intentionally, right? Robert Bresson is known for telling his actors no inflection, and I think that's his films are known for more societal kind of
It's like a thesis.
themes, yeah, and he wants to I think it's about the autonomy of society and how Yvonne kind of has no autonomy, and you're seeing, if you take it out of this one individualistic character and you're just seeing all the pressures of society pushed on him, I think those are emphasized when he's just kind of complacent and going along with the flow, and there's no resistance and no inflection. So but our first segment here, what is l'argent? Now that we know what the meaning of the word, l'argent is the root of all evil. So what is this film about? Quinn, take it away.
yes. Sure. So it was funny. You gave it. You guys talked a bit about the plot and what happened, and I tried to imagine myself as if I didn't see the film, and someone explained that to me, and I thought, what would that look like? Oh, maybe this is like a very dramatic scene, or this is a humorous scene, and it's hard to describe how much of a visual film this is. Sonically important film. It's I feel like it was less about the plot's important, but every single we've been watching movies, guys. We've been watching movies. This was a film. This was a film, really. And I feel like I read you gave a brief introduction of kind of Bresson and what he's all about, and I feel like I've read like the last Harry Potter book or something, and I go, oh, this is significant. This is like the last film in his career.
Yeah,
I don't really know
swan
how
song.
I don't know how to really take this in. There's a lot going on here besides what is shown in the film. I mean, I was looking at reviews and callbacks and people connecting every single piece of art or an article you read on this. It's always connecting to other films that he's done or other historical elements. Like everything's connected, and it's hard to just talk about this film in isolation. So,
Which is, it's interesting that you bring that up, because I think even the best directors today, right? Like you can easily talk about, just The Dark Knight and not have to talk about Memento if you're talking about Christopher Nolan.
yeah.
But I think Bresson, you can just tell even after this one film, he's very stylistic, in how he's telling a story. And I am with you. I'd like to see more, films by him. But I thought you could definitely, if you don't like this film at all, you might not like, his works as a whole.
I'm guessing, yeah, it's probably very similar in theme, stylistically.
One thing I know,
motifs.
one thing we mentioned last week when we introduced the film was minimalism, which we'll get to in a second. But one thing, and you said it's not a movie, it's a film. I thought while watching this, there's like no score at all.
No, I don't think he believed in putting music in films.
Yeah, it's just the natural sounds of the movie. And I don't know about you guys,
Also,
while we talk about the, what the meaning of this film is, but for films that are older, this is not that old, it's made in the early 80s, but for films that maybe are less flashy and than we're used to, sometimes there is a barrier of entry for people in the modern day to watch them. Like us, I've seen films, we watch these films that are made, 40, 50 years ago, and you're like, I just can't get into it. What did you guys feel? Did you guys feel that? Was there a barrier of entry? Was this hard to follow? Were you bored without music, or was it easy to follow and you were enveloped and engrossed right away? Pat?
No, I was not a big fan. I felt like I agree with what you guys are saying, but I just feel like this. It feels like it should have been a book. Like I don't know if this,
Well, it was a short story.
yes, by Tolstoy, yeah, but like I don't know if like movie is the right medium, like to like not show emotion, not have music. Like there's all these like other senses going on, and I feel like part of what's so powerful in some movies is like, weaving those together because you can like use them. And when you take all those kind of components away, you're just left with like, just a storyline and a carefully curated like viewing. It just feels like half of a movie to me. Like I just felt very like I need the empathy to like drive, the empathy on screen to like drive my feelings towards the movie. So I just felt flat most of the time.
I think in response to that, I think the reason the movie medium fits well is it's the visual aspect and the sound aspect. Where Grant was, you kind of said you're listening to these natural sounds, and I was watching some other reviews where you're kind of tricked into thinking a lot of these sounds are natural, but they went into detail in some of these scenes, like near the end of the film when that old lady / daughter is like putting like the clothespins on the wire, and that's like making a specific sound, and like the nuts he's chewing, and the metal mug or this cup is being amplified like way more than what would normally happen. So I think it is kind of like it's a moving piece of art where I don't feel any empathy. I feel like it was a total bummer, buzzkill, just this is fate, this is life. You're just kind of watching a little slice of like this was bound to happen. There's really nobody taking any agency or independent hero-like thought through the film, but it's more like, damn, this art is moving. uh, so I think earlier in a previous incarnation of our review thing, we watched the trial of Joan of Arc, I believe, Grant, if that's right.
Yes.
Which was not, I got confused because they mentioned Bresson's older film, which is the Passion of Joan of Arc. I'm the Trial of the Joan of Arc. The Trial of Joan of Arc, which was his, and I felt like that was much harder to watch from just kind of your typical average blockbuster. That was the
Joan of Arc was the Trial of Joan of Arc was Bresson.
The Trial of Joan of Arc was Bresson, but the one we watched, the Passion of Joan of Arc, the silent film from 1928, was not. But that's the one we reviewed before.
So
I thought that was
it
hard.
looks like there's Dreyer and Bresson. Dreyer must have done the other one. The Passion of the Joan of Arc is Carl. Yeah, I was gonna say I thought the Passion of the Joan of Arc was much older.
Mm-hmm.
And it is. Interesting.
So watching it, I don't think it would resonate, with modern audiences, but it wasn't like, I don't think I was bored or like confused at all. I see it's plot level wise, it's kind of surface level. You see everything that's happening. There's really no mysteries, but it may not have been the most riveting watch.
Yeah, I almost felt like the lack of music was almost drew you in more, of what was going on at screen, at least for me personally. It's very simplistic, but it's not boring, right? Like it's not slow. It's just, very simplistic, and minimalist, but yeah, I've really enjoyed it. And one film concept that I wanted to point out regarding the sound, and I thought maybe you would bring this up, Quinn, was diegetic versus non-diegetic are film terms, which means non-diegetic is the viewer, the audience hears this, but the actors or the characters in the film don't. So that'd be a score. That'd be any sort of music, right? Like that. An actor's not gonna. Maybe if the actor played a radio, then that'd be diegetic sound. If we're just hearing they're driving the car and there's a montage, rocking montage, and there's music over it, that's non-diegetic. So I thought I don't even know if there's any instance in this film where there is non-diegetic sound. It's the only thing you're hearing is what the characters are hearing. That's it. Which I think is very engrossing in a lot of ways. And I thought this minimalism was it kind of drew you in. I thought it was very clever. One scene is when Lucien goes to jail and then he says, hey man, he's kind of like a modern Robin Hood a little bit. I think he steals from a lot of people and he gives it back. I think there's some, reference there, but in prison, he wants to team up. He's like, Ivan, I wronged you. Let me help you escape. And Ivan's like, I'd rather kill you. I'm not, you'll be seen dead before I try to escape with you. And then they go to the scene where Ivan's in his room and there's a jailbreak, and not once, I think most films would show the prison guards running after Lucien, he's climbing out a window, and it's like, you don't see any of that. You're just in the prison with Ivan and you're seeing the bottom of the door and you're feeling that dread that, fuck, I said I was going to kill him, but he literally is like escaping right now. That could have been me, but I can't even see it. I'm just stuck here. And I think that's where you see the power of this minimalism. So, back to you, Quinn, with this minimalism, with not a score and the way things are shot, it doesn't work for you. Is less more?
I mean, I think it's effective when it's applied in this way, when it's consistent and deliberate. Because you said the scene in the jail with the jailbreak, there's the scene with the bank robbery where you're like, you're in such an awkward position watching the thing happen, and you got the guy who's like reading a newspaper and then kind of scuttles away. And even in the more climactic ending scenes where you have actual death, I mean, you're not seeing any of it. It's all inferred. It's all in your imagination. So I think that is, I think it's good in when it's combined together with all of these scenes. If it was one scene out of place, if you were there for most of it and then something was inferred, maybe you might think, oh, they didn't want to show that for, I don't know, money, budget, ratings reasons. But like in this case, it's pretty deliberate. One other thing with the sound is I wasn't aware of those terms. Maybe you've said them before, but one thing that does kind of mess with you is a lot of the sounds from the next scene start playing in the previous scene. So you're hearing, I don't know, beeping, water, traffic noise while you're still like in jail. And you're like, kind of play. I don't really know what the effect of it is. It's definitely noticeable and apparent, but I saw that was pretty evident.
I didn't even realize that until you said that, but I was like, yeah, that actually, I can remember that.
Because it kind of messes with you because you're usually, you know, the sound of it, the next scene would only start until you visually see what's going on. Maybe like a weird one's transition in a movie that would happen, but all these stylistic choices, from what I've read,
interesting. I never really, I didn't notice that on my first watch.
I think we may have some examples of it coming up.
The beeping.
But I think it cements the fact that a lot of these choices are unique to Bresson. He has his own style. He's a unique filmmaker.
I know he's highly influential too. A lot of modern directors cite him as an influence. Well, so Patrick, then the minimalism is less more.
I think less is easier. Like all the scenes that are like chaotic and like when things are going, you know, in fate, like everything you're shown is very simple. And when there's chaos thrown into the mix, like that's when this minimalism happens and you're just kind of like given audio cues. Like, you know, bank robbery, chaos. That's if you're trying to create a careful, curated picture, makes more sense to like, you know, do the audio and do like a still. Same with the the jailbreak. That's, you know, a lot of chaos, hard to direct with like that careful attention to every detail. Who do you show? What are they wearing? Everything. And then, you know, the murder at the end, that's just, do you need to show it? Do you not? And he chose not to do each of the chaotic, kind of like violent scenes almost. So I don't know. I don't know if... I feel like if you're going to do a depressing movie, you just got to like go all in. I don't know. So I wasn't a big fan of minimalism.
You're saying you think he did it out of what, laziness or it's easier?
Yeah, and he like self-admitted he's very lazy.
Sometimes you can get away with that. You say it's art. It's art. You wouldn't understand.
I think those are like his style is so curated. Everything is intentional. I love the costumes. Costumes are my favorite thing, but like a jailbreak, that's really hard to do in that style. A bank robbery, really hard to do in that style. And then like he probably just couldn't figure out like what's the woman look like when, you know, an axe is going at her face. I said no inflections, yada yada. Like Those are like hard things to do. Mhm.
Sure,
Just
like,
everyone's just like,
to an extent. I think when you're, there's a single protagonist who you're following here, where, and I think he, this is very much realism, right? Like it's very realistic. It's one guy. They're using non-actors, and they're showing kind of just the bleakness of life, and it would have, I think, pulled out of that realism if you start moving off of the point of view of the main character. And so all those scenes, I mean, you could say laziness, but I really think he wanted you to stick. They were all in the perspective of Yvonne, every single one. I mean, you were seeing where he was seeing. He was far away from the bank robbery. He was stuck in his cell during the jailbreak, and you saw him slash, and you saw the blood splatter, but you didn't see him do it.
the last one I don't buy completely, but the other ones I agree.
Well, the jailbreak, and not the jailbreak, the bank robbery. He's in a car. I mean, yes,
They're like showing his lap.
You're at such a weird angle where you're like behind police or gunmen.
I think that's how far away he was, though.
I feel like he wasn't even there. Like
he was like a block away or
somewhere
whatever.
else.
Oh, he was not in view, is what you're saying.
He was just in the car.
Is my guess. I don't think we can tell. Yeah.
But I do agree with you on I think the first two I agree with you, but the third one I'm like,
So it's minimalist scenes, but like everything else is intentional. Like especially like the color. Like if I said, think about the color red in this film. Like what scenes come to mind? If you said think about red.
It's like the courtroom with the curtains.
Courtroom,
always red.
exactly. They had the flashy redness. I guess anytime. I mean, I guess the three I'm thinking of are that anytime anyone was killed, that's when a splash of red comes. And then in the very beginning when we meet Yvonne, he has red, striking like red gloves on. Just like, I didn't see any other red in the movie. So
everything else was cool blue. Like everything,
cool,
like
everyone
wore that color.
The trucks, actually, it was funny. I think on the back of the trucks, the jail trucks, it said Chardon. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw that. Chardon.
That's funny.
Chardon.
Chardon.
Which is very classy for Chardon.
Very they would fit right in with the Chardonnites.
Char what?
Char what?
Don.
I'll beat that mother.
I ain't gay. Why you talking to me like that?
You mean pills?
That better be the name of a bubbly you're giving me right now.
Oh man.
Well, my last minimalist scene that I really enjoyed was, I thought, the final scene of invoking helplessness with the dog running. So instead of showing the murders, which I know you said is lazy, I think they did. It was very unique. It was like more anxiety inducing to see a dog run back and forth, and you're just following the dog who's very anxious and barking and running from, I mean, I don't know how they got that dog to do that, but he did a great job. But he's running back and forth, and you're like, what? Oh my God. And then just like death, and then runs back, and death and death. And without just showing, it's interesting to be intentionally not revealing, and to see what that does to film, to film, to audience. I think in a lot of art forms, it's actually a lot harder to do something simple. And I think I noticed that with a lot of music. It's like, this song, there's nothing to this song, but it's fucking amazing. It's like, it's so hard to make something good and simple. The amount of takes that he had to have had during this film, just from filming, right? Like, you have a lot of takes, and through the editing process, he was very, very selective. I think that's very hard.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we gotta
When
give
you
credit where it's
understand
due.
something well and you can explain it simply, that shows true mastery.
Exactly.
But I got beef with you
Oh,
because I love, I also like seeing the dog. You know why? Because it was emotional. That was like the most emotion shown in the whole movie. It was a dog. Why can't the people show a little emotion?
because I think the people don't matter. I think
Why does the dog matter?
well, the dog. I don't know. I don't know too much about the dog.
I don't think you're supposed to see like the. You're not supposed to empathize with the dog. The dog is like invoking. I mean, you're just. I don't know. You're seeing what the effect of what's happening is having on the dog.
I mean,
Yes.
there's no like free will of the people. It's this is fate. This was like destined to happen. I don't think you can or you should empathize with anyone. I mean, I
What?
feel like you just have like you come away with it with a sense of like helplessness and
Would you say maybe
tragedy.
bleakness?
I might some might say that word, but
Well, speaking of bleak, that brings us to our next section.
we'll continue our beef later. Yes, Bleak Street.
Bleak Street. So I had assigned a little homework to, our our friends Patrick and Quinn, and we'll start with Quinn.
Sure.
So the homework was this film is bleak. So I know we've been talking about it, but when you watch the film, it's really just a spiral from someone who's just kind of a blue collar worker into hopelessness, suicide attempts, family murder. And it's not even it's a slow fall descent into that. So
Right. Yeah.
you're do you want to say anything before I show you your clip?
No, I mean, I was going to open a bigger can of worms with like this sort of descent. And, if you ask this question, is Yvonne an evil person? Is he a bad person? Like that's something to consider. Or is he just, a product of his environment? And this was meant to be, it's a spiral. It was more of a separate segment.
No, he's
I
a
like
white person.
that segment though. So let's watch this bleakness.
All right.
And then I'm gonna create a new after this.
On the
we'll
spot.
talk
Our brand new on the spot.
on
So-
Our director is
brand-
getting crazy.
the spot.
It's creative. He chose a few segments so he can come up with them.
I crowdsourced.
Less is
the
more.
segment. Yeah,
Less is more.
Yes. Yeah. I almost did one segment and said, "Hey, it's minimalist."
It was a carefully curated single segment.
Okay, so hopefully you guys can see this. Hopefully you can hear this. I'm gonna press play. You let me know. Give me a thumbs up if you can.
Où est l'argent?
There's the sound.
I mean, what a scene. That lamp thing is so cool, in my opinion. I just like that.
That goes out after.
Yeah, it just like illuminates the blood on the wall just a little bit, holds it, gone.
Gone.
Then the
Served
water
its purpose,
did.
and then it's done.
And I mean, at that point, you're like, fuck, man. That was it.
Yeah, I thought this film was very emotion invoking, right? I thought it was very
Well, that's what I'm saying. The imagery and the things, like he's not important, she's not important. It's like it's the action. It's the objects are representing the feeling. You're empathizing with objects instead of people.
Okay,
Like
when you
colors and
go into that. Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
like you're
Like the
are
lamp
you
is her life.
empathizing with.
Not too literally, but just in the same way you'd go to like an art museum and you'd see some sort of abstract image or maybe a picture of still life, and you think a certain way.
Yeah,
Emotions are invoked that way through rather than just seeing a woman in fear or crying or screaming.
yeah, and I think you might not directly empathize with Yvonne, but I think you have that familiarity of helplessness in life. Like you recognize that. A lot of I feel like that's a universal human emotion where you just feel like this shit's out of my hands. And I think it taps into that. So as much as the acting is, flat and Yvonne might not be believable, I think he's a vehicle of in this film completely. All of the characters are just vehicles to push the theme or the message, the meaning of the film. And I think even with that being the case, I felt like, yeah, life can be fucking shit and you can feel helpless. Like hope, you can have
Dealt a
no
bad
hope.
hand.
Yeah, and what are you gonna
What you gonna
fucking do? Like people are shitty. You saw people who were shitty, like starting at the beginning. But then it's like there's also people who are shitty sometimes, but also, like Lucian is like gray area. So I think that's also interesting. It's like you have some people who just lied because they wanted to push off the $500, 500 USD, and then you got people who are stealing but then also giving back, so it's gray, and then you got someone who's just dealt a bad hand and that's their fucking life. And I think that is life. Like there's a lot of luck in life.
Indeed.
And it's not really like even like his luck either. It's like the consequences of others' actions are affecting him.
I'd call that luck. I mean,
Yeah, I
other
guess
people's
so.
interactions with you.
But it's not like it doesn't affect them though. So I guess they get lucky or whatever because they do these bad things, but it impacts someone else.
Yeah, like you're not gonna make the jump to say the children are responsible for the death of the hotel
Family.
owners.
Yeah.
But eventually you got there through a lot of people's deceit, fraud, or malice.
Yeah.
Insert bad word here.
Insert
Mhm.
bad scene here.
Ooh.
Patrick's
Yeah,
the-
that's why I feel like it's a thesis,
yeah.
Excuse-moi, je prie toujours pour les suicidés.
I always pray for the ones who take their own life.
Cool blue.
Mm-hmm. Everywhere. I didn't see was Shard on the back of that?
Or the
No, I don't.
truck.
I think it was in the prison.
Oh,
book,
okay.
The trucks.
Ça va, Yvon?
More cool blue.
It must have been a pain working from. It'd be like, yeah, this all looks great. I'm gonna need blue walls here. I need that breathing machine to be blue.
We need the lighting so that white scrubs look like blue in the
scrub.
shadows.
And you need to dye your hair blonde. And I don't know. A lot of other just very particular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is I'm gonna push back on Pat again. Is that lazy? Lazy?
Well, it depends. I think it goes back to the central question of like why are you making a film? Some films exist to make money. Some are trying to make people laugh. Some are trying to tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
Others are representations of how someone's thinking. Like, there's not really a right or wrong, but
Well,
in the end, if no one's watching it,
yeah. But I'd say the vast majority of films now that are consumed are for profit, that make money.
Mm-hmm.
And because films are expensive.
I'd say at that
Actors are
time too,
expensive.
probably.
Yeah, that's true. But that's why I think it's refreshing to watch films like this that are yeah.
But why don't you watch them more often if you like them so much?
Well, hey, every time I'm a director.
You're gonna be watching a lot of them for the next.
I thought Blue Velvet was similar, where it wasn't commercial, so I'm with you though. I'm with you. There's sometimes you just want the kind of cheaper entertainment. It's like what's the famous genre of book that like is read on airplanes, like fiction? It's like fast fiction or
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm talking
Self-help?
about? No. What is it called?
It's read
like
on a tabloid.
No, it's something fiction. Is like
Fast fiction
is
is
it called
That's
fast
just-
fiction?
Is that
Mhm.
something?
It's like fast fashion.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of cheaper.
flash fiction.
Flash
Oh.
fiction. That's what it is. Yeah, so it's like it's kind of cheaper, easy to read, entertaining, grasp you, but it's not that deep. It ain't that deep. And I
Mhm.
think a lot in this world is that, right? And it's quick. It's fast food, and movies and that we watch.
Right. I mean, it requires so much on the viewer. I mean, everything I read was like, calling back to, I got to know like French history. I need to know French politics. I need to know his earlier works. I need to know the acting styles. There's so much there that you're like, dude, I just want to watch a movie sometimes. I want to kind of be selfish. I want
But-
something for me.
Then when you are in the mood to put in some work, it typically pays off, right? You're like, I get more out of that than maybe
Intellectually, maybe a little bit.
Yeah. So
So my issue with that is like if you're going to tell a story about people, I want it to feel personal. Like the flat
A story.
I just didn't like. It's harder for me to take a message when it's delivered in a way that is like just there's the human element just I wasn't present, and that made it hard for me to engage. I don't know, like I just was not a fan of these.
You don't have that
serious
story
topics.
element. Yeah. You don't.
Yeah.
You see a banana on the wall at the Modern Art Museum, and you go, and people are like, "This is riveting. This is really something." And you're like, "Dude, it's not doing anything."
Well, no, this is more like it's like it's you're like beheading someone, like it's like public execution. But then you're watching something else, and it's like neutral, It's like a bad event with a neutral thing. Everything's just neutral around this bad event.
I don't know if it was neutral, right? I think it was pretty
Neutral.
bleak. It was like pretty negative, I would argue.
I think it's
Sad.
tragic.
Yeah, I think it's
It's-
tragic.
There's not a happy
I-
ending. It's yeah.
I agree, it's tragic, to us as the viewers, but for the characters in the movie, it feels neutral. Like even like the last line of our Ivan is "Where's the money?" But he says it like, "Where's the money?" As he like chops his lady's neck in half with an axe. Like the actions of the humans, I felt like did not match the moods of the characters, and that made it difficult for me to buy into it.
I think Grant said something earlier where I think purposefully, the actors, or as Bresson liked to call them models. Yes. I mean, you're not given any information. You're trying to be as stoic as possible. And you are not, I guess in a way, you're not really a character. You're just up there doing your thing. And maybe sometimes it doesn't make for the best. Yeah. I mean, as an individual watching, you go, this isn't resonating.
Yeah, like, and it, I can totally get in. Like, I felt like I would have bought in more because it is bleak and depressing, and
Yeah, I feel like it universalizes it. It's not about Ivan. It's about a tale, and I feel like I don't know how much Tolstoy I've read, but I've read Dostoevsky, like Crime and Punishment, and this feels very related to that. I know the two authors have similar themes, but it's about human nature. It's not about Ivan. And I think that's what he's saying. It's not about Ivan. It's about human nature. It's about society. It's about, the universal just humanity.
Yeah, but I think the counterpoint to that is this is not how a human would act. It's unnatural to see someone flat-faced, flat acting for everything that goes on in the film.
Yeah, sure.
So.
I agree with that. I think that is to draw away the empathy from an individual and try to put a spotlight on the empathy for human nature. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I could see it. A bit.
It's not about Ivan, right? That's how I took it.
I think that is what he's trying to do, and I just feel like
I'm with you.
I agree that that's like the message, and that's kind of why in the initial things I was like, I feel like it's better for a book because then I can visualize it because I understand what you're trying to convey, but it's confusing when I'm seeing these images, and these characters on the screen. I'm like, that is not how I would picture this, and it like breaks away my connection to, what he's trying to do.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I have said many times my critique of a film is it's not relatable. I can't relate to this. And that's fair, right? Like I think empathizing, like films do a very good job at putting you in their shoes in a way. Yeah, it's a good medium to do that. So when they're not, I can see how you can lose focus or just not focus or just you're not invested on the same degree that maybe you were if he was reacting like a human. Yeah.
Yeah. I did. The outfits were pretty sweet though. I liked everyone's costume.
I wish.
And the colors were awesome.
They got suits in jail. Speaking of, I pulled up the
Cool Blue.
I need the captions. I need the captions.
Grants.
Let me know if you guys can hear this. I need another thumbs up.
Et tu ne sais pas qui te l'a soufflé?
Je ne vous le conseille pas. Il est agité? Non, calme. Celui qui n'a tué personne est souvent plus dangereux que tel autre qui arrive chez nous après 10 meurtres. Vous avez saisi l'écumoire. Et puis qu'avez-vous fait?
Je n'ai rien fait. D'après vous, je voulais tuer le surveillant?
D'après nous, oui. Et d'après vous?
Oui.
D'après moi, voilà comment ça s'est passé.
Vous avez brandi l'écumoire au-dessus de sa tête. Et si un second surveillant ne s'était pas jeté entre vous et lui, vous lui fracassiez le crâne.
Non, monsieur le directeur.
Quartier disciplinaire, 40 jours.
Cool blue paper. Look at that.
it's just so helpless. He's like, yep, if someone didn't step in, you would have smashed his skull. And we just saw the scene before he like slid the spoon on the ground, like he was done. And you just feel so helpless for the like it's. But you know, I think it's like I feel like it emphasizes when you see these prison guards and you see everyone else. It's like, you know, some people play the prison like you're kind of a criminal in life, and I think a lot of criminals, it's like they have a bad upbringing and a lot is out of their hands, and it's kind of natural. And I think that's why I really like this film, is it emphasizes different paths, and that's just life. Sometimes you're screwed, you know. Sometimes you don't get dealt the right cards.
Yeah, I like the pen sound in there too. It's just like, and then I cut it off a little bit early, but like then they do that final like just like a kind of like an execution style where you just cross it out, and I think that was intentional as well. So there's a lot of these little things.
Yeah.
They add up. But thanks for that clip, Grant. Yeah, that one needed subtitles.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That was more of a dialogue heavy one.
Yeah. So on the spot, though.
Oh, on the spot. Yes.
Quinn, you wanted. I'm already blanking.
Well, I wanted to. I mean, if I just asked a simple question, is Yvonne an evil person? What would you respond with? Pat seemed a hard yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he's evil.
And I think I was going to counter that with more of a no, he's just a person, and everyone in this film is a person, and they just have
some people are evil.
No, but evil people do things for evil reasons. And I mean, in the beginning, he's the only good person. Did he change? He's the only honest person.
Is that like honesty or just like neutral? We just don't know. Like that's just like a neutral reaction.
He's like a laborer. He's working hard. He's
honest.
He's
telling
he
the
wasn't.
truth when
He's
he's
not
accused.
lying. Yes, everyone else is
He's
lying.
trying to make money for his family, and he refused to like sacrifice his integrity to his. He said he wouldn't crawl back to his job. You know, like I thought that was like he has integrity for himself.
Yeah.
Self-worth.
He was at least a little good. I agree.
And then what happened? Nothing changed in him. He's still the same person. He was just affected by all these other people.
And you know, like we talk about like things that you might not feel like everything is out of his control, but like one, you know, a major thing is his daughter died. She's like 3, you know, and she got sick and died, and then his wife left him like
because he couldn't support her because she was sick, and that's why he needed money, right? And then like getting money, probably less medicine.
Oh, so is that?
I don't know. Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
That's even bleaker. So is that why
Yes.
he turned to crime, because he needed to support his sick child?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree with that part. I don't know if it's the lack of like his failure in the bank robbery resulted in her death. Maybe
No, I'm just saying like it would be easy, you know, if I had a sick child and I was in jail, just not making any money, my family's struggling, it'd be easy to take more guilt on, you know. Because you're literally not providing for them when they are most vulnerable.
Yeah, I think that girl, that his wife, like she wears the same outfit the entire movie too, which
very stock character, stock wife,
or maybe shows poverty, or maybe shows it's also a cool blue sort of dress, skirt, some sort of thing.
So I agree. I agree with you. However, there's a very famous quote: "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing." And my gripe: this movie, he just did nothing. If he's truly a good man and he's in this situation, I believe that you would not. He is letting the evil world corrupt him, and yeah, it does corrupt. But bro's evil at the end.
Well, maybe he isn't even. I mean, him, like,
No,
his
If-
vessel is evil. Like, the
Maybe.
soul is removed once.
no, I think it's very simple. One thing is, it's just that the plot of, I think the point of the movie is that, money is the root of all evil. Look how it can corrupt. So I believe our main character is absolutely evil at the end when he kills family.
I mean, I don't think you can deny that murdering multiple people is somehow justified.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's where I like lost kind of my empathy for Ivan, was when he
Mhm.
killed that family. You know, I thought at the most he would kill the guy who was like hitting the daughter, or I didn't really understand their relation. She called him father, but I don't know.
Ages were weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was another kind of. They look like they're the same age, but they're
Just-
not.
It was just like daddy. We just weird captions maybe.
Yeah, but you know, like she showed nothing but compassion towards him, and they seemed to have bonded. He had helped her like hang laundry and stuff, and it seemed like he was interested in taking her side and said, "Why do you slave away for these people?" You know, and then he ends up just killing everyone. You know, it's just
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
think there's-
they had a nice dialogue.
yeah.
Something in there with religious sin, being corrupted by sin, and you're kind of trapped in this sinful cycle. Once you start sinning, you keep sinning. I don't know. I'm not too well versed on the.
I get, yeah, that's you know, I mentioned Dostoevsky, but Crime and Punishment, the whole book is this dude commits a murder, and he literally just, like, the rest of the books, he just descends into madness. Like, he cannot stop thinking about it. Like, it's like envelops him and totally destroys him. And it could be similar, right? Where it's like this dude has sinned, so now he can't stop down this road. Like,
He's a sinner.
but she forgave him. Didn't she say she forgave him? So
Well, she's like Jesus or something. I mean, she's not upset and forgives him or whatever you want to call it, and
Offers him a home.
still gets axed like Jesus. I don't
Well-
know. Well, that was my segment.
no, yeah, I mean, I think it's worthwhile to talk about
Mhm.
morality with this film.
For sure.
I think, yeah, I think he's immoral at the end, but again, I think he's playing kind of an archetype. He's a vehicle, like what Quentin's saying. It's one step removed. It's like a soul, or
It's like, yeah, I mean, a free will, deterministic scenario. It's, most times, maybe when an evil person makes an evil choice, you can kind of see the alternative. Like, hey, man, if you just would have not done that, like, you don't need to do this. You're making an evil choice. But, like, every single thing kind of just led up to the other thing. Like, where did it start? I guess he grabs the waiter. He just kind of pulled him up to him, little
Yeah.
tussle, and then that
Mhm.
leads to him eventually killing. But in the
Yeah,
first
the
place, he
violence.
Well, I
was
think it's when he
cheated.
tried to commit suicide. that like, and it failed. When he woke up, it all started.
I think it started before that. I mean,
Maybe.
Yeah, didn't the scene I show happen before suicide? Yeah,
Mhm.
where he held of the spoon, because then he
gets
solitary
sent to
confinement.
solitary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right, let's move forward
Let's
to our next segment,
moving on.
which is report card. So, right, for our non visual viewers, for our audio listeners,
Gotta get on that YouTube live.
yeah, you gotta get on YouTube Live. F you, we're not narrating anything. No, we got a report card up. We got plot, cinematography, and characters, and I'll hand it over to Patrick for plot. What are you giving this plot?
I'll give it 2.5 stars.
2.5 stars.
Yeah, it's simple. I think it's straightforward. You can follow it, but it's engaging.
Credit to Tolstoy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Quinn?
Yeah, it wasn't like too crazy though.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, I
Just
agree.
simple.
I think 2.5 is good for me too. I think it's simple but effective. Yeah, 2.5.
Well, I'll do it too. 2.5 stars
Wow, look at that. Look at us.
Across the board.
across the board. All right, cinematography. Quinn, you want to take this one?
It's got to be a 4, man. That's the whole film. That's setting up the colors, the things in the frame. I'm gonna include the sound in there. That's where 95% of the thought is going in. It's like you're painting a painting, and the plot's like the canvas, and maybe it's like the frame. Like you pick a nice frame, you're like, all right, I'm sticking with this frame. But the frame's just.
Or it's like what you are painting is the plot, maybe.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, and I was gonna say that what you are painting is the cinematography. That's what's going on the screen.
I'd say like
I disagree
the
with
way you paint is the cinematography.
The style,
Style and
Yeah.
what paint you use and what colors you use and
shadows.
that's the cinematography. But that's like it's like Monet.
What
It's like-
scene you're
like-
putting
it's
on
like,
there?
Yeah, the water
I
lilies
see what you mean.
is Monet. That's the plot. But Monet is known for the way he's like dotting it and his very pastel colors and his
Absolutely no
impressionism.
lines or whatever.
All right. Well,
yeah.
I'm gonna call Yvonne the character then. All right, 4 it
Yeah.
is.
I'm gonna
Or the frame.
I'm gonna hop on that too. 4. I think I mean I'm just very impressed, and I really like when I notice cinematography, and sometimes it's really hard. Like even with who's our director who did Decision to Leave, I felt like his name will come to me, but I feel like his cinematography, because so much is going on and it's a modern film and there's a lot of plot and the characters are going on and you're like taking it all in. It's like the cinematography can go right past you. Park Chan-wook. Thank you, Quinn.
Just came to you naturally. I don't know if you can.
And it's minimalistic, so you have nothing like the thing that carries this film is the cinematography. You have no other way to except just fully take it in, and I think it does a really good job at showing you film techniques for someone who doesn't make film. None of us are
We're making a movie right here.
yeah, none of us are cinematographers. It really it's interesting to me because you're like, oh yeah, that's technique. I see the intention behind that. I see how minimalism and not showing, the jail guards run after that. I see what that effect has now. I see how you can use that as a tool, in future films. And that's really interesting to me. So I'm giving it a 4 as well.
Cool. I will give it a 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah, no, I thought you guys did a pretty good job explaining it. If the cinematography wasn't on point, no, we would have never heard of this guy. No one would be looking at No directors would be looking at him for guidance. But he does it super well, and it very evident.
Cool. Pat, you want to continue with characters?
Yeah, I'm gonna do 1 star.
Oof.
They were okay. They were vehicles. I understood. They were pretty to look at. Ivan was pretty handsome. They had nice outfits.
He was like a Greek god looking dude.
Yeah.
He looked like a model. It's literally like a runway.
true.
You know.
A runway,
It's-
yeah, like a Balenciaga model.
Yeah, it felt like, you know, these are characters that have characteristics, but they're just like, you know, a robot is going through the motions. So I'm like, I guess they're fine. They're good archetypes.
Yeah, I'll have to go. I don't think characters are. I kept it as a category just because it's our standard, but no,
It's missing
not
the
really the
points.
strong suit of the film. It's not about the characters. I think it's about archetypes and kind of the next level. They are caricatures of characters. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with 2 just because I still empathized, I felt bad for Ivan. And I was rooting for him for most of the film. It was just sad. It was bleak to watch him spiral. But to you, Quinn.
This one's a little tougher because I don't know what I'm voting on. It's like I watched a film. It's like I read a book or something, and you said, "How delicious was this book? How yummy was it?" And you go, "How yummy was it?" Well, I wasn't really thinking about how.
You don't lick the pages.
I don't lick the pages. I wasn't thinking about eating while I was reading it. I guess I'll go with 2 as well, just right in the middle.
Quinn, you just copied Grant this whole time.
Hey, he copied me.
We copied each other.
Is my 2 the same as 4? Oh yeah, I guess we need some.
We need an update.
We need a refresh of this.
Yeah, I agree. I was thinking about this today. It's like right now we just have 1 for all the stars, like 1 face, and then we have a half one.
Half a
but
star.
it'd
No,
be
they
fun
each
to
got to
have
be
a
their own
face.
little fun thing.
Yeah.
And you can check them out on
1,
YouTube
2.
if you watch online or Twitch.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for going through with that. I think we can, cinematography very strong. Plot was middle, and characters was the lower end of things. Before we sign off, we have our final segment here, which we are all familiar with. But honestly, I always forget. What is this? Like, it's patented, but
Oh, I got it. It's the GPQ patented review where we decide whether the true rating of
Tip of my tongue.
L'argent
L'argent.
Bargain.
is over under the IMDb rating. And today, with 12,000 votes, we are sitting at a 7.4.
All right, I'm gonna save Patrick for last because I feel like he's an unknown.
He's an
So
unknown mystery.
I'm gonna go over. I like this film a lot. And the common people just don't understand.
They don't
I'm
get
going
it.
higher. I really like this film. I'd watch it again. I recommend it. It was great. Quinn.
It's a tough one. I think I'm with a 7.4. I think I would go over. I'm going to go with over. And maybe not for viewing experience. When I watched it, I would see, I'm always doing this. I go, when I watched it, it was under 7.4, but
I wasn't thinking about food when I watched it.
yeah.
You asked me if it's yummy.
when I've seen other reviews point out things and reading discussions, a lot of discussions sometimes you read from movies, it's like, this is dumb as hell, like, why did they do that, or very plot centric things, and this there's just a lot going on here, and I don't think it's too much. It's not so artsy fartsy that you're never going to be able to understand what's going on. I think you just have to take a couple more looks at the history and these styles being used. So I think it's over 7.4.
All right. That leaves Patrick.
Yes, I am going to go under. It's a big shock. It did once reading about it and talking about it, it rose, but 7.4 is fairly high, and the actual watching of it, I was not close to 7.4. So I will go under. Yeah.
Okay.
Bresson with
Russell.
he's turning over in his grave.
Yeah.
No, I
well,
think you would get it.
there's another,
I think he died when he was 98.
99.
wow.
What?
That's pretty good when you're that, back in the day.
Oh, 95.
Oh,
We were both wrong. Nope. 98. What? All right. This is all fucked up.
Anyways, yeah, Bresson, French director. There's some, I feel like I need to sell
98.
Pat on some French films, so there might be some.
I'm always open
things
to it.
that
Well,
come.
that's
Oui, oui.
The
m'appelle
French is,
Pat.
they kind of came to play as like the Nouvelle Vague movement, which is like the new wave movement, which actually Bresson was not known to be part of, just because his styles were kind of out of the themes of the movement, but that kind of put France on the map in the 60s there. So maybe more to come, but more to come. What's to come now? What's the next thing to
What's
come?
the next thing
to
for
come?
next
Who is
time?
the next thing for next time? Who is the next director? It is the one, the only Quinn McHale.
Whoa! There's a new sheriff in town. Yes, boys, girls, gentlemen, ladies. I am
Others.
the next director. Others. Asterisk.
Them.
I am the director for next time. Our next get together, our next viewing, talking, discussing period will be not in 2 weeks. I'm going on doing some international adventures. It'll be in 3 weeks.
he's a man of intrigue.
On April the 3rd. But the good news is you'll have plenty of time to catch up, because what we're going to be watching, we're going to be continuing my last pick, which, if you have already forgotten or you want to start now, you got enough time, is Nathan Fielder's The Curse, a 10-episode series, drama, black comedy, spiritual, all of the above. So we already reviewed episodes 1 through 3. You can find that on an earlier live stream on YouTube or Spotify. But so we will be continuing and finishing the series, episodes 4 through 10, and it's gonna take a little bit more time. So we'll meet back here on the 3rd of April. So
Wow.
Grant, take it away.
Cool. Thank you all for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed our discussion of L'Argent. Until next time, Quinn will take it away with our review.
Patented
of The
outro.
Curse. Patent outro. Thank you all for listening. Please follow us on our social media. Our main one to follow is our Instagram. Our handle is Quarter Life Critics, one word there. That's where you will really find the home for all of our episodes, all of our content. So give us a follow if you haven't already. And if you have, thank you for listening. And we will see you on April 3rd with a final review of The Curse. Thanks and peace.
Peace.
Peace, y'all.